Hey, hi, how you going? It's your mate Valsrun, and today we're checking out all the most useful partner skills. Let's take a look. Whether you love him or hate him, you've at least heard of him. The first pal on this list is Gobfin, and his partner skill Angry Shark reads, "No one cares about this part, while in team increases player attack power." This ability alone makes Gobfin one of, if not the single best pal in the game, because player damage towards the end game is just so strong and far exceeds any pal damage that you can do once you have all the legendary weapons, that stacking Gobfins is just the best way to maximize your DPS. Now the thing to remember about all partner skills is that as you condense the pal up to 4 stars, the partner skill and its effect are going to level up. So the partner skill will start at level 1, and then when you get it to 1 star, it'll go to level 2, all the way up to level 5. For example, Angry Shark starts at level 1 and gives the player a 10% attack bonus. Then at 2, it's 11%, and then all the way up to 5, you're going to get a 20% attack bonus. But that's not all, because then you can go ahead and add the Vanguard passive, which is going to push it up to 30% per Gobfin, meaning when you have 4 in party, you're going to get it all the way up to a total of 120%. You can take this up to 150, but you're better off having something like Frostallion, which is going to convert the player damage into elemental damage. And those are exactly the pals that I'm going to talk about next, but I'm going to group them all together because they effectively do the same thing just for all the different elemental types. So as you can see here on Azuro, it has the partner skill Water Wing Dance, which reads, "Can be ridden to travel on water and changes the player's attack type to water while mounted." So in addition to the mounted pals, you're also going to get some that have to be out in combat, and they'll read like Anubis does and say while fighting together changes the player's attack type to ground or whatever else it may be. So I've put together a list of all the pals with this effect, which you'll be seeing on screen now, and you'll notice I've split it out into mountable and active pals. The main reason for this is that not only do the pals convert the player's damage into a certain elemental type, but they also give the player a base damage boost, which ranges from plus 50% at level 1 all the way up to 100% at level 5 for the mountable pals, but only reaches a maximum of 10% for the active pals. You may also notice that unfortunately we don't yet have a single neutral pal, so hopefully that's something that we get in the near future. But nonetheless, this effect is still incredibly powerful and is the meta for some of the endgame content. Like for the Xenolord raid, you want to be going 4 Gobfins and riding around on Frostallion, or for the Blazamart Ryu, you want to use Azuro, and then even for things like the Bjorn and Bastagor tower boss fight, you might want to consider using Wixen or flying around on Ragnarok. The next pal I want to talk about is Galeclaw, and this has the partner skill Galeclaw Glider, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it also reads, "Allows you to fire a gun while gliding with this pal." Now that second part does lead to some really cool aerial combat maneuvering, but the main reason you want to use Galeclaw over all the other gliders is simply that it moves a lot faster. So when you combine this with things like the grapple hook and the jump boots, the movement you get around the map is just absolutely insane. And this becomes especially important for difficult content like the level 60 oil rig run, where you need to get in and out of combat really quickly, you need to go up and down and just move around the place really fast. So this helps keep you safe in those situations. If you've got room in your party for Galeclaw, I'd definitely bring one along. I simply never leave base without this if I can avoid it. In sticking to the theme of pals that are good for endgame content, we have Felbat up next with the Lifesteal partner skill, which reads, "While fighting together, it grants the player and Felbat the Lifesteal effect, which absorbs some of the received damage and restores health." So this is essentially going to convert your damage into health regeneration and help keep you alive a lot longer during difficult fights. So this one's especially good for the tower bosses on both normal mode and hard mode, because it's going to allow you to focus more on laying down your DPS and turn your offense into a defense, so you don't have to roll dodge and take so much time out of attacking. I'm still personally trying to work out the best Felbat build for myself. I've just been playing around with a few different things, but if you've got good ones, I'd love to hear about them in the comments down below. Next up, we have all the damage boosting pals, such as Foxicle, which has the partner skill Aurora Guide, reading, "While in team increases attack power of ice pals." Now the important thing to note here is that this doesn't just boost the power of ice moves, it actually gives a base boost to the damage of any ice pal. So if you have a Bastagor, for example, while you've got 4 Foxicles in party, this is going to give a base boost to Bastagor's attack stat, which means even if you're using moves like Holy Burst or Airblade or Flame Funnel, whatever the meta may be, all of those moves are going to get boosted by having Foxicles in your party. So once again, I've put together a list of all the pals that include this effect, and you can also see the boost that you're going to get per level, ranging between 10 and 20%. And just like the Gobfin boost, these are also going to stack, so you can get up to an 80% increase for your party leading pal, like you saw on my Bastigor earlier. And just like the elemental conversion pals we saw earlier, we're again going to be missing an elemental type, but this time it's dragon, so hopefully that's something we get soon. But this list wouldn't be complete if I didn't talk about the good boy Yakumo, who has one of the best partner skills in the game in Birds of a Feather. Now this reads, while fighting together, meaning that Yakumo has to be out in combat with you, it becomes easier to encounter pals with the same passive skill as this pal. Now what this means is, if you capture a pal while Yakumo is out, you have a 30% chance, if Yakumo is leveled up to 4 stars that is, of transferring one of these passive skills over to the captured pal. So this makes it a lot easier to get these passives onto any pal that you're looking to get, but especially it's good for those pals that only breed with themselves, like the legendary pals such as Frostallion and Jetta Dragon, because otherwise you just have to hatch thousands of eggs to get a shot at getting some of these really rare passives. Now as for me, I like to have 4 different Yakumo setups based on the kind of pal that I'm going to be trying to build, and I recommend you do something similar. So for example, I have Helper Boy, who has the Vanguard and Stronghold Strategist passives, and then I have Work Boy with all the best work speed passives. I have Battle Boy with all the best combat passives. Now it's worth noting here that you can't pass on a passive like Legend, so there's no point having it on your Yakumo. You can only pass along passives that are going to be able to naturally occur on the PAL. And then the last one I have is Fast Boy with all the best movement speed passives. Next, I want to talk about 3 pals altogether because they all have partner skills that are going to benefit your base. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on them because I recently talked about them in my best base pals video, which I'll link up here, but they are Shroomer Noct, Prunelia, and Lulu. So Lulu has the partner skill Floral Boost, which is going to increase the growth rate of all your crops. Prunelia has a similar one in Prayer for the Abundant Harvest, which is going to increase the yield you get from those crops. And then Shroomer Noct has Swooshy Spores, which is going to decrease the rate at which your pals lose sanity. Now, it's worth noting that, at least to my knowledge, stacking these doesn't have any additional effect. You can only have one of these in base, and that's going to maximize the output. So I do recommend, if you've got a farming base, having at least one of each Prunelia and Lulu, and if you've got room for them, having at least one Shroomer Noct in almost all of your bases is probably worth considering. The next pal I want to talk about is Nightmare, and despite her adorable appearance, this one has an ominous partner skill in Soul Collector, which reads, while fighting together, pals drop more pal souls when defeated. So this boost is going to range between 100% at level 1, meaning you get double the pal souls, all the way up to 200%, so they're tripled at level 5. Now, I recently featured Nightmare on a video I did on the channel talking about the fastest ways to collect pal souls, and this is definitely going to contribute to the fastest method. So definitely go out and catch yourself one of these if you have the time. Second to last, we have another good boy with Smokey, and the partner skill is Dig Dog Dig, which reads, when activated, uses its sharp sense of smell to detect nearby chromite. So this is going to help us detect or find chromite if you haven't got a metal detector. And then the second part is, while fighting together, a large amount of chromite is obtained. So similar to Nightmare that we just looked at, this is going to increase the amount of chromite you get while Smokey is active. And for the last entry on this list, we're going to talk about another set of pals that all have similar abilities to Catris, who has the partner skill Grimoire Collector, which reads, while fighting together, neutral pals drop more items when defeated. So just like the other sets of pals we already talked about, there's a whole range of these that do this effect for each different elemental type, which you'll be seeing on screen now. But unfortunately, the buff isn't as potent as it is on Nightmare and Smokey. You only get 40% at level 1 all the way up to 80% at level 5. But this effect does help with certain types of farms, especially for Dogcoin, in which case it's really handy to use Catris or Blazehowl Noct, and that helps you get some of the fastest Dogcoin rates per hour that you're able to achieve. But that's everything for today. If you enjoyed this, remember to like and subscribe, and if I missed any pals that you think should be on this list, let me know about them in the comments down below. But with that being said, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.